You know the phrase, if it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. It smells like a Macher Jhol, it bubbles like a Macher Jhol. It has to be a Macher Jhol.
You know what? I'm gonna be brave. No, I'm not gonna be brave. Brave from a distance.
Oh, this is sputtering. You hear that?
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming. I'm here today with one of my best friends, Urvashi, who we go way back to 2013.
Yesteryear, practically. So it feels forever ago.
We've evolved, we've grown as humans, which is very exciting, especially if you knew us in 2013. You should be really proud. And so today, Urvashi and I are going to be making a really special dish to celebrate her grandmother. This is a Bengali fish dish, Macher Jhol.
Oh my gosh, that was great. Did you look that up? That's really good.
That's not how you pronounce it, is it?
I think very close. You have the intonation and the syllables correct. It's very close, Macher Jhol. But it directly translates to fish curry. So mach is fish and jhol means curry. So what we're making today is very authentic. It's just truly water and the ingredients that we will be cooking with. So that's why I was really excited to make this, because I feel like it's very much of a home cooked food.
Have you ever prepared this meal?
I have not. This is actually my first preparation, Bengali preparation by myself. So hi mom, don't be too mad later. I'm trying my best.
So is there anything that, like any tips that your mom gave you for this recipe, or was it just kind of like go out there and do good?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of both. I've seen her cook this my entire life. And so I feel like maybe some of her muscle memory will just come into me, you know, as I'm cooking. But it's really interesting within families. There's some things that don't translate. Like it's just intuition. You add the water when it feels right, you know, but I don't know if you and I have that level yet. So we're just going to have to use our own intuition.
I'm not quite there yet. Okay, cool. So what do we do? Where do we start?
So the first step is to fry the fish in mustard oil. Before we do that though, the next immediate step, just thinking ahead, is to put in the cubed potatoes. So maybe we should cut the potatoes first?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Growing up, did you spend a lot of time in the kitchen with your family?
Always in hindsight, you wish you did more when you were little so you could truly get an idea of how much love and effort and passion it takes to cook something well. Luckily, I grew up in a household where home-cooked food was the norm. I didn't necessarily grow up in the kitchen, but I would always want to observe her. But now that I'm older and my family is now in the restaurant industry, cooking has become a huge part of our lives.
What would you say is the staple of like the Indian kitchen? And maybe because you're from Calcutta and like this is a Bengali dish, like
yeah,
of a kitchen in Calcutta.
From my experience, I would say turmeric. That's huge. Depending on spice levels, I say green chilies are also really critical to like get that flavor and that kick in there. But there's also a concept of a 5-spice blend. In Bengali, it's called Pach Foron, which literally means Pach is 5 and Foron means spices. And I couldn't name all 5, but that would be a really good thing to put in the show notes, like what those 5 actually are. If you have those 5 in your kitchen and they're staple spices, you can make an Indian version of anything.
Do you have that in your kitchen, Urvashi?
Nope.
Awesome. Well, my potatoes are cubed.
Yes, mine too. Okay, so.
You moved to the US when you were a child. How old were you?
I was 5.
What would you bring in your lunchbox?
As far as I remember, we were very Americanized in that sense, where I didn't bring Indian food to school. I remember my favorite were Uncrustables, iconic Uncrustables. I will still eat those as an
I would
adult.
eat one right now.
But grape jelly.
But do you know what I don't like about Uncrustables? They have a crust.
I know. Did you also uncrust your Uncrustables?
Yeah, 100%. Just ripping off the little like sealed edges.
But if I were to bring, Ooh, this could be a question. If you were to bring like a lunch now, with the brain that you have now as a kid, what would it be? Who doesn't love a good samosa? Like a pocket of potatoes and peas, so good. And honestly, is it bad that I love the Trader Joe's Indian food? I think it's pretty good.
Do you?
Yeah, is that maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think for a frozen ethnic food, I think they've managed to preserve the flavors really well.
This is not an ad, but
yeah,
go
this is not fun.
Okay, so okay, I'm gonna turn this on.
Half a cup of mustard oil.
And for mustard seed powder, do you think I just use liberally, or?
I would say apply liberally. That's a key for the actual flavor. It's like the Indian equivalent of like wasabi. Like you want it to like open up your nostrils.
They love being open.
Yeah. You're still going.
I mean, like you said liberally. Should I keep going? So we're going to be frying our fish first, right?
Yes. So I took tongs just so it doesn't splatter, so I can put it in from quite a distance. Yeah. I'm scared already.
I'm like horrified if you're...
Okay, I'm going to lower it.
Well, I'm going to be brave. No, I'm not going to be brave. Brave from a distance. Oh, that's not too bad.
Oh, that's a good sound.
But while this fries, I want to talk about this article that you wrote. You've been writing. You want to talk about that first to start?
So I write for myself first, primarily my Medium blog. Depending on the topic, if I feel like it would be interesting for another publication, I submit it, and I submit to thought catalogs. It's an outlet that I really feel like helps me to kind of process whatever's going on in my life. The article that I think I'm most proud of is the one that you're referencing about growing up with cultural whiplash. And that is a term that I didn't coin, but it's something that I so identified with that I really wanted to write about. Just the feeling of being two different identities and turning one on when it's advantageous and playing up your Indianness when it helps and then playing it down when you want to fit in. And the crux of it was that I didn't even realize I was doing it until very recently. And so that was a big moment for me to kind of reconcile, like, who do I want to be and what do I want to identify with?
And so once you come to a realization like that, because that I feel can be pretty profound, what do you do with that? How have you taken that realization and moved forward?
I think I've taken it with a grain of salt in terms of not letting one or the other identity define me. There was a lot of intertwined emotions in there about guilt, about not feeling like I'm Indian enough, not feeling pressured to be 100% Indian American or 100% Indian has been very enlightening for me, and honestly has helped me kind of like move on from this binary thought process. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other, and it can be both. Like today I can be cooking Indian food and tomorrow I can be cooking pasta, and it doesn't make me any less Indian.
I read your article and I definitely resonated with pieces of it for sure, and I love reading what you write, so all of her stuff is going to be linked below for you to go read as well. While that's in the pan, do we add the potatoes or do we take it out and then add
No, so I think we fry the fish and then we set it aside, and then in the remaining oil we put in the cubed potatoes. Oh, you can see it bubbling on the screen. Yeah,
look at it go.
Splatter alert. Okay, so we add a little salt. We also have to put these aside once we're done frying them.
So when you're back in Calcutta, what is the first food you go for?
The first food I go for is a fish in Bengali called ilish mach, which is very traditional and it's known for having the most bones. My parents call me the cat of the family because I can pick bones really, really well. The most challenging piece of that fish is the tail. And if you can eat the tail of this very bony fish, you're like a pro. So
what kind of skill goes into this?
It's just the patience. You gotta have the patience. So it's either a mix between that type of fish or goat meat.
I don't think I've ever had goat, but I have heard great things.
Very good.
I'll go for it one of these days.
You say you'll goat for it, or? But it's so interesting because I feel like if you ask another Indian from another part of India, what they'll say is completely different. It's just so regional.
And is Calcutta like a tourist destination?
I'd say it's like a tier 2 tourist destination. If I had to compare it, maybe like when you come to the United States, LA, New York are the biggest ones, but Chicago is just as beautiful as a city, but I think it's a little bit lower under the radar.
It's the Chicago of India.
If there's any Chicagoans watching this, I hope that's okay.
Like tier 2? Excuse me.
The potatoes are looking good. I feel like I can transfer them out. So we are now putting the black salt and the 2 green chilies in the oil. And when the oil starts to sputter, then we add in the tomatoes and the turmeric and then water.
So then I should cut some tomatoes.
Yes, so we are just cutting 1 tomato.
And then the chili. So I have this bad boy going on. Is this one has 2?
We were thinking like these smaller.
Those itty bitty baby ones. Okay, so this one.
But I think you can cut that up because the flavor will still be there.
I'll just do half. Is this a spicy dish? Do you want me to save the seeds or should I de-seed them?
It's up to you and your spice tolerance level, but I feel like you can handle spicy. Okay, so I'm just gonna portion out my black salt, half a teaspoon.
Yeah, so explain what this is for folks at home because I don't have this.
I looked it up. It's fennel flower or black seed. Black salt is a pretty traditional Indian spice. You can't really get it in Western grocery stores. It smells very fragrant and it looks like this. Wow. Very, very small black seeds.
And so instead of that, I'm going to be using cumin, which your mom says is not a good substitute, but will be fine.
It won't bring the same exact taste, but it'll bring a similar flavor, so it's fine. Oh, this is sputtering. You hear that? We are adding the turmeric. I always love the color of turmeric. It's so pretty. For no particular reason, I'm adding 1 cup of water. I'll just see how it is. So now we can add more salt and then the potatoes back in the pan.
Who is like the most respected chef in your family?
Well, my dad really does cook well. He has certain things that I will only eat from him. For traditional like Bengali cooking, my mom is for sure the head of the kitchen. But my sister actually she's a great cook as well. So I'm definitely the slacker in the family. I have to catch up. So I brought my pan to a boil. How about you?
Yeah, mine's boiling for sure.
We have to gently put the fish back in the pan now.
Cool.
Yes. Just dump it.
Gentle. Come along. Oh, there you go. In your little bed.
You know the phrase, if it talks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. It smells like a Macher Jhol. It bubbles like a Macher Jhol. It has to be a Macher Jhol.
Comparable saying, I think. I get it.
Well, I feel like mine is ready.
I think mine is too.
How beautiful.
Look at this. It's
so much better than mine.
Yeah, you're right. The color of this is amazing.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm ready.
Wow.
That's really good.
I am pleasantly surprised with myself. I feel like it needs a little bit more salt. In terms of the actual flavors, it's really good.
This is really good.
Which flavor are you the most surprised came out?
It's almost like creamy, but it's not creamy. What is it? Is it the oil?
I mean, I'm really happy you got that because you didn't have true mustard oil, but it's like the mustard in the oil, yeah.
Is making it have this, yeah, like really creamy, nice consistency and flavor. With like rice, this is gonna be legit. Your mom will be proud.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I was so excited to like have this new
recipe.
Yeah, I'm like, this is now like in my toolkit, you know? I can just like make this for myself and for others.
And it was such a good first cooking experience for me. Not traumatic, nothing burned, like good Indian food cooking start for sure.
Thanks so much for being a part of my day. It was so lovely to hang out with you virtually. Okay, well, thanks everybody. And that's all for today. Bye!